Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, we're back.
Where the lads are back, the lads. So Rachel's not here this week because
she abandoned us.
She abandoned us so much. We must have wrecked ahead the last 2 weeks. Not only did she abandon us, she abandoned the country because she is gone to Australia. Rachael will be back soon with her Women of Sport mini-series, but literally she got news very late that she was going to Australia, and during the week she was gone. So we're like, Rachael, we'll take over this week. We'll take over. Don't worry. Relax, Rachael. We got this.
Well, she better be back next week, Seán, because I don't know if I can stand talking to you much longer.
Big time. Sure, we're getting ready for Christmas and all the rest. We can't be running and stuff like that. Or can we? We'll be talking about that pretty soon. But Eric, today, my legs are sore, man. I'm a bit sore and stiff.
Yeah. My belly's sore because I'm after eating loads of chocolate. But let's kick on with the episode, Seán, and discuss what we've been doing over the last few days.
We'll kick on with a switch up the tune because the boys are back in town. What do you mean your stomach's sore from chocolate?
Well, no, we're recording this after dinner and I'm after having about... Do you know the way when someone opens dairy milk tray, you go, I'll just have one. Well, anyway, 7 pieces later, I'm already thinking about my 8. But
I'm just after it myself and pretty much close to the Niners game. So what's going on?
Johnny, you were doing a bit of running.
I was back my very first trail run. So I want to paraphrase this with what I talked about in this trail run and different experience stuff I learned. What I feel like I finally get to talk about an event, the podcast, where I hit the strategy for myself pretty much spot on. Some people might be like, I've done trail run longer, this and this. So normally we talk from different experiences with a fair few different things we've done. Like you've done a load of triathlons, I've got a strength conditioning background. Today it's just pretty much this is what I learned as I was doing the trail run. So the Run The Line Trail one, Dublin Mountains, I did 26k on the Saturday, and spoiler alert, absolutely fell in love with trail running. The buzz I got from this and the views and going through the forest and up and down the hills and all the different terrain and all the rest, and actually Christmas trees smacking me in the face, which is a weird time to get a Christmas tree smell, but it was absolutely brilliant. I got the buzz out of this that I thought I would have got when I was doing hell and back challenges back in the day. So I remember doing them before and thinking this kind of run through the jungle, different obstacles and all the rest, similar to like, I suppose you'd see like you would know more than I would, like army obstacle courses, stuff like that, and that kind of challenge and push yourself. Whereas when you do hell and backs and running mucks and all the rest, you're queuing for ages for obstacles and you don't get that up and go. You're not actually running that much. Even the 13k option, you're not really running that much. There's periods where you're running a bit and obviously sniper alley and all the rest. Whereas this was just constant trying to strategize how you're going to keep yourself going through 26k, having to keep the terrain just be like, sometimes slower, sometimes faster, watching your foot and all the way through. And there was plenty of times throughout this race where I was like catching myself and getting overconfident, which is very weird for me. Getting overconfident and run going, have to keep switched on because I get a little twist here and there in the ankle from hitting a certain rock, whatever it was, and be like, you know what, stay switched on, keep going. I'll talk about that strategy in a little bit, and just knowing when to pull back a bit in hills, knowing to keep going ahead and all the rest to get through to the end of 26k. At times I felt like Rambo in the jungle and stuff like that. It was absolutely it was absolutely brilliant. But throwback, I don't like talking about this, but it's the truth. I had a little calf injury and I amplified it by having a top hat and tails at a wedding 10 days ago, as you'll know yourself, Eric, on the dance floor, which was not the smartest thing, but it was all your fault, Eric, because you got extra free bottles of wine for the table and I drank a lot of the red. So I was in a very, very good mood, and the top hat just was a dancing hat and the calf was in a rough way afterwards. So I got
blame.
all on you.
It's the first time in history I think anyone has ever been called terrible for acquiring more free wine for the table. That's the last time I'm doing something nice for you.
Well, that's the truth. So the Sunday before the run, I had the very first time I had one of those backpacks with the water and the straw and all in, because you need them for the mountain races. This is all brand new to me. I strapped up with that, and I was like, right, long run now, pick the route, tack all the hills, see how I get on. 6K into it, and the calf went poof. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun. So I did no run last week, and I tried to get out of my own head for the run on Saturday morning. So I went to a barbell workshop in the gym in Clane, and then I was like back to the house, rushing around, got my stuff. By the time I got down to run the line and registered, the first wave had already gone. The second wave was nearly gone. And by the time the third wave had started, the last 3 waves in the long course, I was still queuing up to go to the toilet. My bladder was full. I'm like, oh, I got to, they're like, last call for the long run. And I was like, I need to go to the toilet. I hadn't even thought about the race or anything at this stage. And I'm glad that happened, because I got to the toilet, ran to the start of the race. And the biggest mistake I made in the marathon 4 weeks ago was I took off too fast. And I was like, I checked in myself 3 miles in. I was like, look, just keep running as fast as hard as you can, and that's it. Well, because I had started at the back of this run, I couldn't pass myself out. I was like, okay, let's play it smart now. You have no idea how long you're going to last. You have no idea what's going to happen to your legs. So just ease into it. Take your time. Stay behind the pack. Slowly catch people if you can, but just stay behind as much as you can, and just see how the legs feel after 4, 5, 6K going up and down hills. Like 3K in, not 2K in actually, I was already walking up a very, very steep hill. I remember looking at the watch going, it was 11:40 kilometer pace. I was like, Jesus, this is slow. I'm going to be out here for 4, 5, 6 hours at this pace. But I got to the top of that, and you're jogging through, and then like you're just jogging the mountains. You can see pretty much the entire city of Dublin on one side. It was a beautiful clear day for November. Unbelievably warm. It was like 10, 11 degrees. And then next thing you know, you're going through the forest. I'm nearly getting smashed in the face with Christmas trees, and I was just deadly. And then 8, 9, I'd say around 8K into it, you get to a crossroads, and I remember passing people out going up the hill, and I was like, Seán, check yourself. Slow it down a bit, go up this hill, start walking a bit. And what really turned me on to the walking was I looked up ahead, and I seen someone jogging up the hill, but they were jogging very, very slowly. And I was like, I think I can go past that person walking. So that's what I did. I walked, I power walked. If anyone's a wrestling fan and watches Stone Cold from back in the day, that's how I walked. The arms were swinging, the legs were flying, the head was down. I was talking to myself, and I was like, right, let's go. And I passed more people out power walking than I did actually jogging on the flats and stuff. And it was like, wow. And myself and yourself talked about this before the podcast. In my mind on the day, I thought I was making this up. I was like, Stone Cold mode. Power walk up the hill, pass people out, and you're like, Seán, that's actually a really popular army tactic. So maybe get into that a little bit, because I've talked a fair bit there.
Well, no, like it's like it comes from it all stems back to whether you call it a tactic or who developed it or whatever. It all comes back to endurance building. And obviously, if anyone's been on a treadmill and put that incline up to 10 and tried to run, it's not very long before the sweat is pumping, the heart rate's up. Yeah. The same comes for the hill. It is a hill. So when you're going for the endurance, and there's going to be ultra runners out there that are top athletes and have been doing this a long time, but if you're just looking to stay in the game and to do well, then you have to kind of mind that heart rate up the hills. You have to look after the endurance. And so especially when you're carrying bags and all that kind of stuff, you've no choice but to walk up a hill. And then when you have all that weight on you coming down the hill, you have no choice but to go quickly. So call it a tactic or call it no choice. But the idea is you walk your 10 kilometers to your point, and then you have to go to work. That's the idea in the military sense, that you're marching somewhere to fight. So running up the hills, and you get there, you're goose, you can't fight. So that's where that kind of element comes into. So whenever we're in the hills, you're always anticipating, you're not trying to, you're judging the slopes, you're judging the contours, you're trying to take the less steep route. So you're again not trying to burn yourself out and walking, and it's exactly what you've done. We actually didn't talk, something I said to you before. If I was to tell you a tactic, I would have told you that, but I could tell you a tactic and you'd probably do the opposite just to spite me. But it's I'm glad you figured it out on your own. And listen, there's people that will take other options on the hills as well, that they'll just do a thing we call scout pace. And so no matter how steep the hill is, for 50 steps they're going to try and go as fast as they can running, and for the next 50 steps they're going to try and walk. Again, depends on your fitness level. Yes. Depends on how much training you've actually done on the hill. And that's, there's great places to do it, like Ticknock Hellfire Club, but there's great hills and trails that you can actually get a run, and you've good ground underfoot that you can actually jog in and build up that stamina. And people think like, what do you need? I just need to be really fit. You actually need a lot of lower back and glute activation stuff before you go into the hills. That's where you're going to find pain in the hills. It's not necessarily that Seán can run 42 kilometers in a marathon, might not be able to do 21 kilometers in the hills because a lower back issue, a glute activation issue. So there's a certain element of fine tuning to hill running, I find, that people don't kind of give it enough credit.
It's a different fitness. It's almost, even though running and hill running are somewhat, it's still a different fitness. And like, to your point, the legs are just, I could run 40 odd K. I won't say not a bother, but at a slow enough pace, I know I could, even now, no, not right now, but in general, run from start to finish and not have to stop. The hills had to stop. I had to power walk. And in my mind, I was kind of like, if I can't jog at a certain pace, I'm going to walk because I can power walk just as fast. So what's the point in wasting more energy jogging? I mean, even during the week, because the calf, I was doing more stuff. I was doing a lot of stuff in the gym over the last 2-3 weeks. But I was trying to do a bit condition on the assault bike. And even going 50 RPM, I could barely go 2-3 minutes. And I'm huffing and puffing. Like, the heart rate's not going up, but the legs are burning. The third, fourth round of doing it, I'm J-leg walking off and going, 12 minutes on an assault bike. I could run 4 hours, but I can't do 12 minutes on a fucking assault bike. And that's very, very humbling, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you chose the word humbling.
Yeah.
But that's because you've been listening to too much David Goggins. Because that's
exactly. 2 hours, 80 RPM. I saw the video. I was like, man, 50. And I was actually, because of him, I was like 60 or so, 90 seconds in. And the legs were like, cool, you're done, pal. You're done. And I'm like,
yeah, it is. It's a different kind of fitness. And even like for myself, maybe people don't know, I got back into training last Monday after holidays, and probably about a 3-month hiatus away from training, or just casual training, unless I was doing enough to just maintain. I wasn't really training, but getting back into the pool, swimming 250 meters and then feeling the sweat under the rubber hat going, oh, I'm actually working hard and I haven't done this in a long time. And getting back onto the bike after 20 minutes, I'm like, Jesus, this is going on long enough now. But amazing how it's just starting to come back quite quickly, a lot quicker than I would have anticipated. I ended up a lot of times when I start back, I'm like, oh, if I can just stick at a 5:30 and just do the junk miles. But my last runs, I started at a 5:30, and by the end of the 8K, I got down to a 4 minutes. So I just increased, pushing yourself. But it is amazing for years when you switch or even stop. If I was to go and do a hill run now, I actually went for a walk yesterday morning, and it's what reminded me. I went up to Hellfire, but I took the steep route, which is probably a portion, the 200-300 meter portion of the race you did. And I could feel it in the lower back and the glutes because I'd done a big session on it the day before. And you were due to go and do that run at that time, or maybe a half hour later, and I was like, oh, he's going to be very sore in his lower back and his glutes.
Felt it lower back. That's that diamond part of the lower back. I felt it, and I was like, oh, I haven't felt this in a run in a long, long time since the days of when us trying to do the first marathon when everything just wasn't working right. But that hill, it's just going to take it in the lower back. I was like, oh, slow it down now, power walk here, and just keep going from there. Back to your David Goggins point, like, this has never happened to me in a race before, and probably because I started, like, I was one of the last to start the long course. But you obviously want to support everyone going through a race, but that ego part, every time you pass someone out, it's almost like you just feel that little bit stronger. It's like Goggins says, taking their soul, but you just feel that little bit kind of like, oh, I'm still in the race, keep going. I mean, you don't like hear about people struggling, but when you're like, oh, Jesus, this is real tough, and 8K to go, and in your mind, like, only 8K to go. And getting to that stage, just flamming out. There's just to put a flip side in this, not blow smoke up me backside. The complete opposite happened to me a couple of weeks ago in the marathon, where I blitzed the first half. The second half, I had the same people passing me out and feeling a little bit stronger, passing me out as I was sucking wind and walking and hobbling along and all the rest. But it's just mad that the mindset, as we've talked about before, how different things just help you keep going, trying to catch that next person, knowing that as you're power walking, you're catching the next person. All in all, though, I'm hooked to trail running, man. I'm hooked. This is it. I'm definitely doing a lot more. The mountain runs and all the rest. Compared to a road race, obviously I'll do road races in the future, but this was just a completely different animal.
Yeah, I think we did. I think Ozzy might have alluded to that in one of his episodes, Ozzy Doyle. that once he got into the trail running, found it very hard to get back running the roads. And to be fair, I actually don't think he has really got back onto running the roads since when he was describing his escape from Dublin. Art O'Neill. Yeah, when he did it later, Art O'Neill. And I don't think he's really got back into the road running since. I think he just found an absolute love for those ultras through the hills. But it is amazing. Like, you know, when you're running on a road, you're looking at a lamppost, you're looking at a ditch, you're looking at a house, you're looking at... But when you're up in the mountains, you've got scenery, you can see for miles, and you can see a high vis or someone wearing an orange jacket, and you're like, there's someone. And then, you know, you notice over the next hour, because the races go on that long, oh, I'm after halving the distance between me and them. What can I do over the next, you know, like it is something. Well, how you got an hour behind them is probably a question you should be asking yourself to start with. But in terms of races with waves, it's definitely something you can use to encourage yourself along and push yourself on. But it's I always think as like I'd go for a little run up tick knock on the pad, and I get to the top of the hill, and I'm like, why would you want to go do trail running?
But that's the thing. Like a couple weeks ago, we went to what's the name of the heart-shaped lake in Wicklow? I can't think of the name of it called.
Where were you up? Loch Tay or one of them, was it?
Something like that in Wicklow. In Wicklow, there's some heart-shaped sort of something to do with Arse the Wind or something like that. It's a translation of it. I can't think what it is. Someone's probably shouting in the podcast, Seán, you're an idiot. Anyway. We hiked up that, and I remember halfway up, I thinking, "Geez, my legs are burning." Like, because once again, it comes back to mindset. You're just thinking you got to get to the top of the hill, and you're done. The legs are burning. I'm struggling. I was like, "Gee, there's no way I could run this and then go on doing another 20K or something else." But on the day, you just find a way. Had I done that run for the first time, like when I went Saturday morning, like let's say it was just a normal day, that race wasn't on, you were doing your Hellfire, you dropped me off the start of the race out in Glencullen, and it was like, right, Seán, go do your 26, here's the map. Probably wouldn't do it. I'd say 10, 13K in, I'm just like, right, where's the quickest way back to where the car is? Because my legs are done, I just walk back. But on the day, you see someone ahead, you find your catch them, you pass them out, where's the next person? Right, let's just keep going and going. And those things build up and stuff, and so much, I don't keep saying it, but so much of it is mindset. Speaking of the Art O'Neill and different challenges, and registration closed as of yesterday, those are listed to the podcast, so sorry about that. I have actually, on Ozzy's podcast, I still keep thinking about him describing the Art O'Neill. I had to register for the lottery and just see what happens. I probably won't get in, but him talking about that got me starting thinking about it. And it's probably half the reason I signed up for the Dublin mountain race. It was just him talking about going through mountains, seeing people a mile down this way, a mile up this way, and keep on going. Now, to that point, the Dublin mountain race there I did on Saturday, the Run The Line, that was marked out with flags and stuff. I didn't need to orienteer or anything like that, unlike Art O'Neill. Nearly got lost once or twice still, because my mind would wander and I was like, oh, someone just turned left here. Oh yeah, the flag, and it'd be clearly signposted, so it was completely my fault. Like, but there were so many volunteers all over the place. The fact that I nearly got lost once or twice is pretty embarrassing on my end, rather than them not doing their jobs, because they did a phenomenal job the way it was set up. It was really, really well done, and something I'll definitely sign to next year.
Yeah, it's something I'll have to get back into. Obviously, the brain is switching now for preconditioning for an Ironman next year, so that's where we're switching. So I don't know if I'll be doing the Art O'Neill this Christmas. I don't think the fitness is there, but definitely we'll probably be looking at half marathons now in January. I'm hoping to see if Donady Forest brings back their half marathon. It's sold out, is it?
No, sorry, I thought you were talking about the 50K. Sorry, the 50K in February, the World Championships is sold out. So it's half about it.
You're quite all right with that one, but no, it's a half marathon I'd be looking for in January.
I did sign up to a race this morning on the high I was last night. I signed up to Quest Glendalough. I know if I said this to you in person, but I definitely said it to the girlfriend. I was like, I'm never cycling a bike again. Don't like them. Can't handle it. Don't like bikes. Like, I'm done. Never do it. And then I was talking about Quest this morning with one of our friends, Elaine Skelly, and she was like, I really love to do an adventure race. And I sent her the Seven Sisters out in Donegal. And next thing I know, she sent me Quest Glendalough. She's like, I'll do Quest. I'm like, All right, so we both signed up. So there's a 59k out that way we're going to do. And it's great now that I don't know anything can happen in the next month or so, but just all these events starting to come back again and having that thing to keep it going. Just do full circle that we talked about in terms of Christmas and pulling back a bit. Having these events and stuff doesn't mean you have to do a mad hard training sessions for the next 6 weeks, but having events that start next year and stuff can really help keep you going. Like just doing little bits here and there. You don't have to do the hardest session in the world. You don't have to do hour-long sessions here and there in the gym. 30-minute session in the gym, just getting out, doing a little bit in the roads throughout December. Just have a decent starting point for January rather than doing absolutely nothing for the next 6 weeks and starting from below zero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'll have to sign up to Quest Glendalough as well. Believe it or not, Quest Glendalough was the first adventure race I'd done. It was the first cycling kind of race I'd done. It's really, really good. You start in the lakes. And of course, as you know, the lakes sit in the basin of mountains, and you cycle from the lake to the top of the hill. And when you get to the top of the hill, you get off your bike and then you run up another little part at the top of the hill. Right. So it is a fantastic start. You really, those who don't train and show up really learn how long a race is after the first 8 kilometers. But it is brilliant. It's a fantastic one. It's a very well ran event, I suppose is the best. And location is amazing as well. Yeah. The views are spectacular. Especially on that one, there's a lot of downhill as well on the bike. So those who are brave on the bike, definitely a lot braver than me. My brakes to be worn on parts. I don't allow myself to get to the 80, 90, 100 kilometers an hour that some of the cyclists get to. But yeah, a lot of people are very brave down some very steep hills. But it's phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's a good race to sign up to. And again, it's early in the year, so it really does kick you out the door in January. It makes sure you get out there and you're looking after yourself and getting moving.
Yeah, it's only 12 weeks from when January starts. You only got 12 weeks, and especially if you sign up for one of the longer courses, it's like you said, you find out in the day if you haven't trained, it will catch up to you, and it will make what should be a fun event into a long, horrible afternoon for you. So it's one of those where you just have to train to get the enjoyment out of it at the end of it. And
the best part is, instead of a swim, it's a kayak. So you do all this cycling, you do all this running, and then you get into a 2-man kayak with an absolute stranger who's just arrived to the lake at the same time as you, and you're relying on this little bag of shit to paddle as hard as you want to paddle. And then after that, you haven't moved your legs in 10 minutes. You get out of the kayak, and then you have to run 2 kilometers back. And I mean, it is a waddle, an absolute waddle. You start cramping in the kayak. Do you know what? It's comical. It is absolutely comical. You can just hear people screaming with cramp. Not obviously, it doesn't happen to everyone. I'm not trying to paint a bad picture. It's the likelihood of it happening to you is very minimum. But at the point I was there, I was obviously in the none of us really trained for this, but we're here section, and there was a lot of that going on for us. But yeah, really, really enjoyable, great event, and something to really look forward to. I think it's April, is it, Seán?
April 2nd. April 2nd. I
think it's April. Here should start, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few of them now. We just decided if I could go Glendalough, because she done that Glendalough with you that day, I think, as well. So I was like, right, we'll go with that. Probably a wise choice, because the Seven Sisters is supposed to be one of the hardest mountain races in the country. And I'm like, I've never been to Donegal. I probably should just go and relax the first time I'm there rather than doing a torturous event like that. But really looking forward to next year now and just adding up these events. And to be honest with you, it's all building up to the Dublin Marathon. And I kind of want to get into longer races as well, just so when I get that mindset of 42K, will seem a lot shorter than what 42K seems now. The kind of way.
Like if you do a 50K or a 60K race, then what's 42? Sure, it's a half day, really. You know, like it's...
But that's the idea. Like a marathon is always going to be tough, but mentally a lot easier. And that's one of the things that got me through Saturday. 26K was like, yes, I'm up and down the mountains, there's 4 peaks and all the rest. But I was like, I only did 42K a couple weeks ago, not the exact same, But in my mind, I could do the distance on it. Like, geez, normally I 42 and 26 is a big difference. With hills or not, I'm like, I've only got another kilometer to go, or another 4 kilometers near the end, rather than anything else. So it's just mindset again, and just that keep on going. But good day.
Good day. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to support you, but it was. Enjoy another one under the belt. You're now the long distance all round runner out of 2 of us, so you are the subject matter expert.
For now, you can keep the triathlon expert, and I'm still happy enough not getting the water, start swimming. Kayaking and cycling is going to be bad enough as it is, especially how bad I am on an assault bike. So I'm not looking forward to my brick training next year, and hopefully I'm still on that high when I really start that training. But look, we'll see how it goes, and we'll keep people on this podcast updated, as well as keep people updated on Rachael. Will be back pretty soon, if not next Monday, for her continuing her Women in Sports series as well.
Yeah, or if not, just back on for a chat with us and to explain herself for abandoning us. But anyway, we wish Rachael the best out in Australia. She's going to be out there for a while. She's headed out to catch up with a boyfriend who went a couple of months during COVID and she couldn't get out. So we're delighted she's got out, and hopefully we'll have her back next week.
Dandy. And on that note, I think we'll pretty much wrap up this episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. Unless you've got another question to ask, what I meant to say, what I meant to apply to Eric. If you got anything else to say before wrapping it up, but considering that pause, I don't think you do. So with that said, the boys are back for one episode at least. Thank you for once again listening to this week's and every week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. That's it from myself and Eric. Take care.
Bye.